The Colts active once again in NFL free agency. Back for more is Matt Pryor, offensive lineman with J.J. Stankevitz. I'm Matt Taylor inside the Power Home Solar Radio studio. Matt, first off, welcome back to the Colts. Congratulations.
Yeah, man, thank you. It's glad to be back here. It's great to be back in this organization. Had a great year last year, didn't end how we wanted to, so, we're going to try to run it back this year.
Yeah, you talk about that feeling, that motivation. How much did that factor into your willingness and decision to re-sign with the Colts?
It came down to the organization as a whole. It's really tight-knit. It's kind of like that college experience. Everybody's real tight-knit. Everybody's cool. There's no separation between positions. Camaraderie is a big deal when it comes to, playing sports. It kind of keeps that stress level down. So I feel like that had a great role to play into, re-signing here. Coaches, staff, everything kind of plays a part in to any player signing back with a team or to a new team.
Matt, something we heard from your coaches last season was that your physicality really fit in well in that offensive line room. How quickly do you feel like you acclimated to it here in Indianapolis after the trade, and how do you think that physicality served you playing this year?
The transition wasn't bad. Of course, every offense is different in terms of calls and everything, but, Frank was over in Philly, and, he was over here in Indy, so adjusting to play calls wasn't difficult. And as far as play style, playing next to Ryan and Glow and Q, they play at a high level, so they escalate you. They make you have to take that extra step forward in your game. So them bringing me along it made the transition real easy.
Matt, you were traded right at the end of training camp, right? Coming over, you were drafted by the Eagles, and then you come over here right before the season starts, right before the live bullets, as they say.
Oh yeah.
What was that like? How hectic of a time period was that for you?
And it was kind of a surprise, but football is a lot of surprise. You never know what's going to happen. Of course, leaving Philly, been there for 3 years. You kind of grow connections with everybody.
Sure.
So the toughest situation, or what hit me the most, was leaving the O-line room. Had a great bonds made with a bunch of the guys, Lane, Brooks, Kelsey, Jordan, Nate Herbig, all the boys in the room. So I'd say leaving there, not being a part of that was the hard part. But then I come over here and I'm a part of a great room. I got Strauss, Big Q, like I said, Ryan, Glow. You got Braden, Julian, who was here. So Chris Reed. So it kind of it was going from one good room to another good room.
Sure.
So there was no drop off.
But it's life, though. I mean, you go from, like you said, 3 years getting acclimated to a team, an area, a town, a city, a fan base, and then all of a sudden, boom, right before the season starts, you got to sell a house, buy a house, move the family. I mean, that's tough.
I didn't have to deal with the sell and buy. That's why you rent.
Veteran move.
Smarter than me, right?
But from high school to college, you move. And then you're there for 4 or 5 years, whatever, and then you get drafted. You're in another team, so I feel like you kind of just adapt to it. But a city's gonna be a city, but what you make of it, what who you meet is how you're gonna adapt to it. So I don't think that part was hard.
Speaking of adapting, how did you get so adaptable when it comes to switching sides of the offensive line? Like, that seems like a really difficult thing to get down, to be able to play both left tackle and right tackle, and then even a little bit of right guard at a high level when your number was called.
Yeah, man, it's not easy. Obviously, once everything's easier said than done. People try to play it out as it's still football, but once you get used to doing something a certain style or playing something a certain way, and you switch it all the way around, it's hard to adapt. But in college, I played right guard, right tackle, and then when I got drafted to the Eagles, I had to play a little bit of everything. So I think I've done it so much that it kind of just became a part of me. But you know, obviously anybody just wants to play one spot. So, but it's always good to be able to move around just in case, you know, anybody gets hurt, because you know the best ability is availability.
Right.
So, I feel like it was a good thing.
How would you liken it? I'm always curious what offensive linemen say about this. How would you liken going from like right tackle to left tackle? Is it like trying to write with your non-dominant hand? Like, how would you explain that?
Yeah, it's mechanics. Same thing with, you know, throwing. If you're left-handed and you got to throw right-handed, but you know, you get better at it with repetition, and that goes with anything. It's like learning an instrument. You redo it multiple times, and you know, you just get better at it. So that's just like a life lesson. Anything you do, more repetition, you get better at it.
I know what you're going to say. The standard answer is, you know, anywhere the team needs me, right? But outside of that, if you could get a little bit more centered than that, for you, where do you feel like you're most comfortable on the offensive line?
Man, I hate to say it, but it's anywhere. Anywhere, you know, just need the reps. If I get the reps, I'll be fine. Yeah. It's easy. But you know, obviously, you know, it just comes down to where I'm needed the most. But tackle or guard, it don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts had to use 10 different starting offensive line combinations last year within that unit. Has that just stressed to you, like, I got to be ready to go at a moment's notice, and I also have to be ready at 3 different positions? Like, how stressful is that for you?
You know, we in Philly, it was the same thing last year.
Yeah.
I played right guard, right tackle, left guard, left tackle throughout the year. I think we had the most lineups in the league, probably. I think it was like 15 or maybe more than that. But stay ready so you don't got to be ready. Or I think that's the stand.
Stay ready so you don't have to be ready. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, man, it goes with practice. Like, even in practice last year, I was doing different reps, and at guard during, like, when I was giving looks for the defense, I'd get reps in at guard, at left or right, and right tackle. So it's just, like I said, repetition.
Everything matters.
Yeah.
So we got you here. Colts fans are learning about a player who was just acquired, Yannick Ngakoue, and I believe you would have gone up against him.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about Yannick Ngakoue and the kind of player that he is and will bring to this Colts team?
Yannick is he's up there, man. He's high motor. You know, he's pretty quick. He's quick off the edge. And you know, he's one of those guys you never know what kind of move he's going to give to you. So you kind of got to be on your toes about it. And then, man, that boy, he says he doesn't like to talk crap, but he was talking a little bit during the game. But, but you know, it's all fun and games in the game. So you know, it keeps the game going. You know what I'm saying? It fuels the fire. But yeah, he's a cool dude.
Is that something where he's got? You mentioned he's got those multiple moves. Like, you don't know if he's going to give you the chop, if he's going to give you a bull rush. He's kind of got those different pitches in his arsenal.
Yeah. I feel like any elite end or D tackle, you know, they have different moves in their arsenal to combat a offensive lineman and, you know, set up their next move, and you know that's something he brings to the table.
Right. That's Matt Pryor with us, Colts offensive lineman, versatile player. He can play guard, tackle. Hell, he could even play, you know, tight end if he needed to. Yeah, add it to your resume, man. Let's go. The more you can do. But along this offensive line, you're going to be playing with a new quarterback again next season, and I know last year, you know, was obviously an up and down situation, starting in training camp with Carson Wentz missing all that time, and then time on task in the month of September, kind of training camp 2.0 as far as that goes. But a new quarterback in here in the fold this spring. From an offensive lineman standpoint, how long does it take to get adjusted and acclimated with a new quarterback? What are you looking for there?
I don't think it takes that long. It's just a matter of their snap count. I think that's the biggest adaptation you need on the O-line. And, you know, once we get that, that's probably going to take a couple weeks maybe.
Sure.
But, you know, it shouldn't be that difficult, you know. I've never had any struggle with learning the snap count. But, you know, like I've been saying, repetition is gonna prepare us.
What what about like cadence and tendencies and audibling at the line of scrimmage? How long does it take to anticipate those things?
I can't really put a time frame on it.
Sure.
It's the same with a quarterback, lining up with a receiver, throwing the ball. It's going to take the reps.
Yep.
And once we get into OTAs and camp, it's going to fall into place.
That's what it's all about. Matt Pryor right there, Colts offensive lineman. And we were talking before we started the interview. We did not, unfortunately, last year with COVID and the regulations and the protocols, none of us really crossed paths with you last year.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you can see 6'7", 332 pounds on paper and say, man, that's a large individual. But quite literally, you are one of the biggest Colts players that we've ever had the pleasure of interviewing here. One of the biggest guys in the NFL, man. You're getting it done. You're here for a reason. There's no question about that. One of those things is you can shop at big and tall, but Mike, you take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, man. I can't really find no clothes. Got to get everything tailored. Custom made.
I bet you do, but you're filling it out, and you're one of the best in the biz. And welcome back to the Colts. Welcome back to Indianapolis.
Great to be here, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Yeah, man.